Welcome to Human Design Playtime, the show that discusses the highest potential and the lowest shadows of ourselves and our playmates. We use ourselves as examples and take some bold liberties to discuss public figures, even the celebrities we love to hate. Bring your open mind and a sense of humor. Who knows? We may be talking about you. Hey, Tammy.
Hey, Janet.
How
Welcome
you
back
doing?
to episode 3 of the Human Design Playtime. It's good to see you.
Good to see you too. Good to see you too. New York and Missouri.
Yes, so different, but all coming together through this fabulous tool.
Absolutely. I look out my window and I see pigeons and seagulls, and that is my wildlife. And you look out your window, what do you see?
I see horses and, well, the chicks and the ducks, they're in the barn because it's cold here in Missouri. We had 70-degree weather a couple days ago, and then it was like 20 something this morning.
Whoa, that's cold.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I'm excited for today because we get to talk human design for ourselves. And also, I'm excited to talk about Jean Smart.
Yes. I did finish watching, the 3 seasons of Hacks. And I remember her from Designing Women years and years ago when I guess I was a kid when that was on.
Yeah. She was such a polite Southern woman character then. As a New Yorker, I would watch Designing Women as a young person and go, oh, I love their accents and they're all so different. And the Dixie Carter character was like that bold, brazen, give you a lecture person. And Jean Smart's character was not that at all. And I know that even though Jean Smart is not our client, we don't have her exact birth time and birth data, but we do know that she was born in Seattle, September something, 1951. And Tammy, you and I have like spent some time to try and figure out what could be the best time to narrow down for her birth time. We don't know, but we're going to go with the one that you have today. And I do want to share that I ran her chart 6 different times on the My Bodygraph software. And she is, of course, a manifesting generator right behind Tammy. That could be one of the possible charts for Jean Smart. She's a manifesting generator. And at different times of the day, she mostly has like 7 of the 9 functions defined, which is a very fixed chart. There
Yes.
was one time I saw in the early evening when I ran it that had all 9 definitions, all 9 functions defined. And the one we're going with today has the Open G Center, Open Identity Center. And her character, even in Hacks, like is a very fixed of, this is how I do things, this is how I run my life. I'm the captain of this ship. You don't like it, get out, but still very vulnerable and soft on the inside, like all of us.
Mm.
Uh, I don't know.
Yeah.
Um,
And this
yeah.
this time, so this was 11:53 p.m. is what I ended up using because I use this online tool to recertify her birth based on information I found on the internet. It's kind of scary that you could do that, but um, yeah, so I thought it was really interesting because, yeah, I watched it and she is very, very fixed in that show. She's got a lot of definition here in her chart, and no matter what time of the day, as you just said, there was a lot of definition. But in this one, she's actually a 4-1 profile, which is a very fixed profile. So it's interesting that, you know, coming back to it, like all of the signs lead to her being very consistent in who she is and not really open to being changed.
Right. Right.
She has that split no matter where we ran the chart up at the top. So her inspiration center and conceptualization is defined, and they're connected with two strengths, and then there's that gap there, and that makes her what's considered collaborative. So in order to connect all of her amazing strengths, she actually needs somebody that would have the 56, which, hey Jean, I have it, let's chat.
Right, for her to feel, experience all of her strengths at one sitting, to
Mhm.
be in the presence of a person like you, or go to a coffee shop, or be around the right dog, or the right location, to feel hooked up or linked up. Not that anything's missing.
Nope, nope,
I
but
just think of the Jerry Seinfeld thing of, not that there's anything wrong with that. Like, not that there's anything wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with any of the things we say if nothing is missing.
nothing is missing.
Yeah.
But Jean wants to make sure that she, with her emotional intelligence defined, she needs to make sure she is sleeping on her decisions. That's the brown there, kind of like ish, right there ish. That is defined in her wave. She has, ooh, in this chart, she would have the same type of wave where it goes, where she's kind of even and then she gets excited and then she might get a little down, but her consistent way is kind of more flat and then it kind of floats up and down. That is an interesting wave for sure. That's the individual wave.
And in that particular chart, behind your right shoulder, she's got four waves coming out, four strengths, four waves coming out of her emotional system.
Oh, she is probably a very emotional being.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. And this is what they always recommend for the emotionally defined people who are going to make their decisions, their big decisions, not do I want a turkey sandwich or a chicken sandwich? Like, you don't have to agonize over that. But it could be, should I move across the country? Once the emotional wave is calmer, that the emotional wave people shouldn't be pushed. They shouldn't be pushed or forced or given fast deadlines, because they might not make the right choice if they don't know. So it's totally acceptable for emotionally defined decision makers to be like, I'll get back to you. It's
Hmm.
not that they're trying to be coy, but it's the right thing. Don't push them.
One of the things that I talk to my clients about all the time that are emotionally defined is whenever somebody asks them to do something, to say, when do you need to know by? And then, sleep on it. I need to check my calendar. When do you need to know by? And not try to make that instant, "Mhm, yeah, I'll do that," because a lot of times when you sleep on it, you may not feel the same way, and you could be committing your energy to things that aren't really aligned for you.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Mhm.
In every single chart we ran for her, she was always emotionally defined. We don't exactly know what channel is the accurate one for her, but we do know that she's emotionally defined. And yeah, and I'm not. So here's my chart over here, and here's my little empty triangle. Does that mean I have no emotions? I have no feeling? Am I a cold fish? No, no, it means I don't have a reliable way of having an emotional response. Like, I could be totally calm as a cucumber or completely hyper erratic. We don't know.
Yeah, and I am also, my chart isn't up right now because we're looking at genes, but I'm also undefined in the emotional intelligence. And I feel people's emotions. I've gotten better since discovering human design at not being reactive, but the challenge is anywhere that we are white or undefined in our chart, that's where we're feeling that energy from other people, and we're either amplifying it or distorting it until we become wise about the energy. And so yeah, I would say that I would wonder if her co-star in Hacks, if she would be undefined, if they were both real people and not just a show, if she would be undefined, because thinking about some of the things and how she would stuff down some of her emotions in order to make peace with, with Jean's character on Hacks. And I think that that's what really happens a lot, is when we're us that are undefined and we're around somebody that's very emotional, we may tend to people please, or become mentally defensive when they say things, and we have to learn to be wise about our emotions. What I really appreciate about the people that are emotionally defined is that I feel like in the grand scheme of things, they have a really healthier way of dealing with emotions and the things that come up. It may not seem as so at times whenever they, if they're not waiting out their emotions, but my daughter is emotionally defined, and I watch her in her relationships and her friendships. And I think it's just so beautiful how she, at a young age, can set up really healthy boundaries.
That's great.
Mhm.
And she's got her own time and space to do it.
Yes.
Yeah. This is like one of those systems where, oh, I wish I knew this when I was a kid. Oh, I wish I knew this when my own kid was young.
Yeah.
But we get to it when we get to it.
When it's your time, it's your time. It's interesting because I had an interaction with somebody on our TikTok about the pseudoscience, is what he called it. And I think that everything is what you make of it, right? And just thinking back to like how much my life has changed since human designs found me. And it found me a couple years before it really resonated, right? And so sometimes you might hear what we're talking about and be like, oh my gosh, this is way out there. I don't know what these ladies are talking about. But if you can be open to your own experiment and discovery, then I think that, it can really help to make stronger decisions, know what you want in life, but really it's just an awareness tool. You get
Yeah,
to become aware of where you might not be, living authentically, and where you're really consistent in who you are.
totally. It's a great self-study tool.
Yes.
It is such a great, and it's not to take the place of like, if you need a surgery or a doctor or whatever, just go do that thing. But we're not recommending to use it as you will. But
It's an experiment, right?
it's an experiment. We are the experiment.
Experimenting with your energy and the energy of those around you. And I don't know, I find that one of the things that's most interesting to me is a lot of times people that are undefined, like myself, in the willpower, are around people like Janet, who is defined in the willpower, that we may feel like we have to overcompensate and prove our worth. That's the not self of it. But true wisdom comes when we can recognize, who is authentic, who is able to keep their word and do what they say. How about you, Janet? Tell me how your willpower, how does that feel?
Oh, having the defined heart,
Hmm.
defined ego.
Yeah.
Yeah, I come across with a lot of confidence. And
Hmm.
I do pretty much know what I want. And when I don't, I don't. And I just not even going to fudge it or fake it. But but when I know what I want, and want is the word want. It's like I turn it on want. Me want and go get. So and that's the manifester part. Want is the ego and the heart, and the go get is my initiator part. I do notice that sometimes my presence puts a little pressure on people.
Mm.
Um, And I don't, uh,
It's not perfect.
sometimes I do have to make myself a little smaller or kind of rein it in
Mm.
to give some space for other people to just, hey, where are you at? And when I teach, so like I teach every day online, uh, I always tell my students, don't listen to your teachers, especially me. Listen to yourselves. I'm
Mm.
going to give you guidelines. I'm going to give you ideas, and you need to change this to make it yours. I say, catch on to my enthusiasm because it's very big and it's very contagious. And that's sometimes what people love about me is my like boom passion, like with a fist in the air kind of thing, like boom. But I do begin my classes and I do have to watch my students to be like, are these my limits or your limits? And I always say, ignore your neighbors, ignore your classmates, close your eyes, don't even look at the camera. Who cares what I think of you? You have to walk out of here feeling better. And so I think that I've always done that, but I do it in a different language now that I have the human design comprehension over the last probably 4 years. And like you, I was introduced to it, I don't know, 10 years ago,
Mhm.
but I didn't study it or use it. So anyway, that's some of how the heart center has been for me. And I did I will say I will even use the word arrogant for myself or like eye rolling where I used to like roll my eyes like, well, why can't he just do it? Just go do it. What's wrong with you? Just do it. And that is so dumb
Mm.
because there are everyone has their own process. And then if I turn the tables and look at myself, well, why don't you have the energy to work, 14 hours straight with no nap and no support? Because I'm built different. I need at least 2 lie downs a day. It doesn't have to be for long. But anyway, and that heart motor pumps and is very powerful intermittently. And then it has to rest. And since I only have one motor, it can burn out. So I have to just chill and then go be a lion and then go be in the hammock.
And
That's my experience.
I think that's so healthy, but it's not what our society teaches, right? It teaches to just go, 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 and it's hustle, hustle, hustle. And it's good to hustle, right? For things that you're passionate about, but it's also good to rest. You know, rest is not a nice to have. It's our bodies need rest. So, um, I think that's pretty powerful. I have I had a client who um, is undefined or actually completely open. She had no traits coming off of her willpower, and her husband was defined, and they had moved out of a big house into an RV, and all of a sudden she was feeling like she was needing to prove herself to him, and they've been married for 20 years, right? And so when she's talking about it and talking about their relationship, I was just like, and I hadn't seen his chart yet, but I was like, let's look at his chart because it sounds like I said, is he saying things to you? Well, no, he's not saying anything. It's just what I feel. Like, okay. And so then it was easily explained, right? You're feeling his powerful willpower naturally. It just makes us want to prove ourselves to that person. It's not that he's doing anything, it's an
Right.
energetic. So, once she knew that, it was that their relationship was able to really heal from that feeling. And I think that that's some of the things that's really brought a lot of peace to my own life is understanding how people are different energetically, and then just looking at the science helps me to not overcomplicate it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like allowing people to be themselves and understanding the beauty of that and how celebrating the differences. And they say this is the human design is the science of differentiation. And and I'll just go on my little science thing for where's our science troll? Uh, uh, this is my 2 cents. Um, I was married to a Western scientist and researcher and PhD for a long, long time. And for people who study science and Western science is their life, it irks them to no end when the word science is used in a non-Western scientific way. So I'm just going to share what I experience of, yeah, I get that. Like medical doctors, Western science, they're Western science doctors. But when we're talking about a science of differentiation or like a Chinese medicine, that's their science. They may not do double-blind theories, double-blind tests, etc. But I see the word science in other settings as system. This is a system.
Mm.
So it's sort of like when people are upset with the word God, higher power, divinity, atheism. Okay, there's a million ways to talk about the thing. Find the word that works for you, but we're not saying this is Western science. We're saying this is a system or a science of differentiation. It is, so I just want to say that.
And it
That's what I want to say as the Janet
is
person.
Janet, yeah. Janet needs once want to declare Tammy likes to call it a science because
Right.
Tammy has several certifications with scientific tools that help you to understand yourself. And to me, the science comes from it being like a repeatable when you survey, and I've talked to probably 400 or 500 or more people at this point, and I can look at their chart and be able to tell them about how they work and how their energetic is. To me, that is the peer review that this person on TikTok was asking me about. Are there any peer review studies? And I feel like that's my way of reviewing it. Before I really even started talking about it on social media, I had looked at probably 100 charts. Again, in the beginning, it was to disprove the science. It was like, no, this can't be true. I can't be different than everybody else. People are just the same, right? We all have the same abilities. But it turns out we don't.
Yeah.
5 years later.
5 years later. Yes. So for all of you who are wondering, is this a science or not? Me as a person, I don't care what you call it. And I also, I don't care about the terminology. I go, is this useful for me? It's useful for me. Is it useful for my clients? Useful for my clients. Does it help the relationship between me and my kid, me and my ex-husband, me and my everybody? Yeah. So that's how I'm calling it. Um, uh, and what I wanted to ask about, um, we were talking about the heart and the emotional system. So in my chart, I have one motor and it's the heart. And in your chart, you have one motor and it's the sacral center or the energy resource. And in Jean Smart, she fluctuates between 3 or 4 motors depending on her time. Like how fascinating it is to have so many motors accessible.
Mm.
Um, I, I have a cousin who has 3 of the 4 motors defined, but none of them get to the throat. She's not a manifester. She's a projector. She's got a weight. She's like a percolating. She's just full of fire and energy. It has to go through the right channel to come out when it's with other people. So what's your experience of having your one motor, which is different than mine? How's your one motor? How do you have to manage that or protect it or care for it?
Hmm. Well, so I need to respond to things, which, yes or no questions really help me to do that. And the things that make me really excited, those are the ones that are correct for me. When I'm when I'm shooting on myself, when I'm like, I should do this, I call that shooting on myself. Don't do that. Don't shoot on yourself. I I don't have the energy to the sustainable energy to keep doing things when when it's coming from my mind, like thinking about it. It really needs to be a response and something that I'm excited about. And then I have all kinds of energy to go, 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 go. But when I'm doing things out of people pleasing or because it's what's expected of me, my energy goes away pretty quickly.
Hmm. Okay. And do you have friends in your life that have no energy resource center or undefined, or their sacral is not defined? And how do you feel in their presence if you notice it?
Um, I don't. So most of my friends are generators or manifesting generators. My dad, though, is a manifester, and I notice with him. I mean, he really quite a bit of has had quite a bit of energy throughout his life. I would say that he's picked up a lot of energy and used that throughout. He, I noticed that informing him is really helpful to, hey, this is what's going on. And typically, if he has the energy for it, he will volunteer his help. But when I'm asking for help, he may not be as up to doing it. It has to be something, it could be a response for him, but it's something that he wants to help with.
Mm.
I find that when I'm just informing him, it's easier to get that support.
Hmm.
Then my mom is a projector or an advisor in the human in the business terms, and she only has one strength, the 1/8, and so she has throughout my life picked up that energy, and she can go 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 too, but it's because she's picking up on the generative energy and going, you know. She
Hmm.
doesn't like to rest. She's that old school where she feels like if she's resting, it's not good, and she likes to always be active. So getting her to rest and stuff is challenging.
Interesting. Do you notice her getting buzzy or more busy around you? I guess it's hard to tell because you're not in the room when you're not there. So you can't really see her unless you have a video camera of, hey, what's mom doing? And then you look in your video camera. But does she behave differently around you versus around your dad?
Well, they're not married. Um, they divorced when I was young, so I don't know. My dad's wife is a generator too, so that probably helps with his energy. My mom lives with a manifester and a manifesting generator, so it's pretty interesting. They're the Golden Girls. That's what they call themselves, and she's the one that gets up and does a lot of the things around the house. She picks up that energy and is moving and going, and you know she's 70 years old now and probably can outrun a lot of people picking up on that generative energy and just going amplifying it.
Wow. Do you have an accurate birth time for your mom?
I only through doing that recertification like what I did for Gene Smart.
Okay.
So she doesn't. But when I did that, her chart really resonated with her. And I would say that throughout the years, she's been married or in relationships with generators. And yeah, it's not always been the healthiest, but I think that that's sometimes what happens too with when you have that undefined survival instincts you can have a tendency to stay in things longer that aren't healthy for you. Where me, if I
Mhm.
notice something that's not healthy for me, I'm like, bye. You know, it doesn't take me long. Again, unless I'm in the not self, unless I've had some trauma and I'm like
Mhm.
trying to make things work instead of listening to my own internal compass, then, then I can stay in things longer. After my husband died, I dated a guy for about 3 years that I knew 3 months in was not healthy, but um, I just wasn't in a healthy space. So I guess I needed those lessons.
Yeah. It's like the restaurant envy thing, like, oh, to have a defined spleen. Wouldn't that be nice? I do feel like a sigh of relief when I'm around certain people of like, hmm,
Mm.
almost like the Stepford wife thing. Like, like, I'm sorry I can't go. I'm sorry I'm going to be here forever. But I'm aware of it, and so then I can go. Uh, and I have a family member who has a defined spleen, and I just love being around her. Love it. Love
Do,
it.
do you have a lot of defined spleens in your life?
No, I don't. I don't.
Mm.
But I also don't know that I know the charts of my core people. I
Mm.
don't know the charts of my accessory friend group. Although, if someone hangs out with me long enough, like last night, while I have this cast on, hello, there's my cast. Hello. While I have this thing on for a few months, maybe more, I have different friends popping over to do things. So she's chopping vegetables since I can't chop with my left hand. I can stand up and stir and cook and blah, blah, blah. But she's chopping. And since she's come over twice and we're on the same comedy show together, I've known her for a year, but not well. Now I'm like, so, it's going to happen. Can I get your birth time? She's like, is this astrology? I'm like, no, but so I explain it. And so the next time she comes over, we're going to talk about her chart. So I always end up, because I do it as a learning tool for me. And I love to do this thing at parties or where I know I'm going to have an opportunity to talk to somebody and I could boldly ask them, hey, so, I could ask them, hey, what sign are you? Not like a gross 70s thing. It's not a pickup line, but I like to guess. And
Mm.
I like to guess. And the reason, oh, by the way, the reason we're doing this podcast, hey everybody, the reason the whole thing happened is because Tammy and I are classmates, and we both separately, individually, like to read public figures charts just for learning purposes. And like I read the charts of Seinfeld after I guessed them. I was
Mm.
like, this is a show I have known for 30 years. I bet I can guess each actor's thing. And I did, and even guessed Michael Richards, which didn't take me too long. I was like, projector or reflector? Reflector. Like it's so much fun. So I love doing that guessing thing. So if I'm around someone long enough, I'm going to ask for their birth time. And only one person in 4 years has told me no because they don't want to know and they don't want to be influenced. And I totally respect that. Yet I secretly would like to know for my own selfish reasons. But I have plenty of other people to learn from and other clients. It's nice to get paid to do it. I love it. But I also still, I'm always learning.
Yes. And
Yeah.
I actually don't wait that long to ask, like, if I'm responding to them and I'm like, do you know what time you're born? So, yeah. And most of the time, they're pretty open about it, or, a lot of people know, and then I can like pull it up on my phone and I'm like, oh, and then I get all excited to talk about it and share with them. And I have not had anybody that it didn't resonate with. I mean, and some people that are like not that don't want to do it, and
Yeah.
again, totally respectful. Yeah, I'm not here to force anything. Yeah,
Yeah.
force is actually like the shadow of my 34 strength. So I mean, when I was younger and I was working and doing things, I might force things in a different way, but now I know that, and I'm just more like, okay, it's if it's for you, it's for you. If it's not, it's not. It's okay.
Yeah. That's the best attitude.
Yeah. And
I
it's
wish we could get Jean Smart.
to
Hey,
get
if there are any actors, actresses, political figures, and you're willing to actually privately share with us your birth time, we'll do the thing. We'll do the thing,
we'll do
either
the
on
thing.
camera or off camera. It is so much fun. And also, I want to guess. Don't tell me. Don't tell me. I want to guess first.
Yeah,
Oh,
message me. I'll pull it because I'm not as good at guessing. But I don't have quite, I mean, I have a little more definition than Janet does. So I feel like you can probably feel people a little bit more than I can feel people.
mm, maybe. And I've also been in the healing arts for 30 years.
Yeah.
That's my only job, pretty
Yeah.
much. Then just the performing arts the past couple of years. That's it.
And I have a 20-year real estate mortgage background, which has nothing at all to do about the energetic makeup. It's more about numbers and investing in your home. So completely different.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, this was fun today. I'm so glad we talked about it. And Jean, if you're out there and you're listening, privately send us your birth time so we can learn because we so admire you. Oh my God. I not only do we love hacks, but like the designing women
Mm,
from the 80s, just ugh, my heart, I just melt when I think about it. I just melt.
yes.
Those
Yeah.
were those were great episodes. They were the formative years for me. Formative.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Very good. And Hacks was has been a very good series. I'm ready for that next season to come out so I can watch it. Might have to wait until it's been a while because I like to when I'm gonna watch some TV, I want to binge.
Yeah. Well, good. You don't have that they say with the open energy resource or open sacral, those of us who don't have it defined, we don't know when enough is enough and we may overindulge in just about everything. And the people who have that reliable energy source go, okay, and I'm done with this now. You can override it, I'm sure, but it is just a very healthy thing that you said as a builder or generator. It's wonderful to hear.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Well, that's our show for today. If anybody would like to learn more about working with Janet or I, please feel free to send us a message. You can check out our websites. Reach out. We would love to have a conversation and see how we could support you.
Yeah, right on.
Yeah. And then until next time, we will see you. Well, you will see us, and we will see you in the comments, hopefully.
We'll see you in the hopefully positive. And if
Hopefully
not, just be cool. They say on stage, like at the one comedy club I perform at a lot, they're like, just don't be an a-hole.
That's right. That's right.
Just don't be an
And
a-hole.
our science person on TikTok, he was not an a-hole.
He was not. He
He had
was
a
not.
very respectful conversation with me, and I can really respect that. So,
Good start. This is great. Well, I will see you next week and have a good night.
bye.